The Bears are preparing for the first preseason game this week, and we're going to talk about players on the defense to look out for in the first preseason game. We'll talk about that, plus an update to the Chicago Bears' hopes at a new stadium in Chicago have been dashed quite a bit, and we're going to dive into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So through preseason games, you get to take a look at a lot of players who are still either trying to earn their roles, or you may just not see a lot in the regular season due to the depth chart, things like that. On today's episode, I want to talk about some of the players to look out for in the first preseason game that are going to get a nice share of snaps, even with the starters probably not playing a lot of snaps, to see how they kind of fit in and what their projection could be for the Chicago Bears next year. This first guy that we're going to talk about here is Austin Booker. We already know Austin Booker is a guy that a lot of Bears fans are excited about. C-Dub has gone from kind of questioning Austin Booker to be really excited about the speed and athleticism that he brings. But there still is some that he needs to bulk up a little bit and refine his raw skill. He has a lot of raw skill. And to look at it right now, like when you look at it when it comes down to Austin Booker was a situational pass rusher and only played 1 year in college. And so because of that, that he needs to really kind of develop certain aspects of his game. While there is tremendous upside with Austin Booker, and I think you see that when you hear like Eric Washington talk about how he's used Austin Booker on the inside and the outside on that defensive line, that Eric Washington is trying to find the best situations and position for him, at least initially as he's building his NFL career, to really kind of turn out and round out his game. So Austin Booker is a guy who drafted on day 3. A lot of people thought that he fell in that draft specifically because of the lack of experience. He's going to bring a whole lot of hope to the Chicago Bears. And, Austin Booker is a player that could shine very well in the preseason, especially because of matchups and things like that, and could earn himself a larger role. Now, there's also a chance that, that opposite defensive end for Montez Sweat, they don't really see quite a bit, and they end up getting a veteran. But overall, I don't want Bears fans to kind of write the story on Austin Booker here just in his rookie year, because we know he's raw, and that's why we were able to get him where we got him at. But just look to see how he grows and develops, especially how he plays in this first preseason game, what he brings, to see what can he refine on. And so getting a chance to look at an extended look at Austin Booker is going to be really good right now. And, we've heard in the last couple of games that he's played extremely well in that case also. So, while Austin Booker still has some size issues and things like that, I think this is going to be a really good test for Austin Booker in that first preseason game to see how he can shape up with kind of the less expectations around it. And then another rookie on that defensive line as well is Keith Randolph. A player that a lot of people think only didn't get drafted in the draft, mainly because of injury concerns and things like that. And while he's far below that depth chart, when you look at Andrew Billings, Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens, those are all players that are going to be ahead of Keith Randolph on the depth chart. This is an opportunity for him to shine a little bit and maybe show that he can be a part of that long-term future for the Bears. Now, I do think there is a possibility that he makes the final 53-man roster. I also think there's a possibility he could end up being signed to the practice squad. I don't know if the Bears would risk that, because I do think he's a guy that if he is moved to the practice squad, another team's going to try to swoop in and get him. So we could see the Bears kind of do something similar that they did with Doug Kramer, but on the defensive side with Keith Randolph, and really kind of keeping him on a contract to that way nobody else can take him away, but also develop him things what he can do there. You look at the players that could be ahead of him with experience in the NFL. We do got Michael Drumfer, who we signed, and then Byron Coward as well. And, they spent some time on the practice squad last year. Keith Randolph has tons of potential, and especially as an undrafted free agent, he has a ton of that. The athleticism that he brings, the size that he brings, the combination of the two. He's a guy that I think we're going to see a lot at over this preseason period, and I think that would make some sense. And get to see an extended look at him and Austin Booker, even out there together. We could be taking a look at players that really are a big part of the future for the Chicago Bears, and we'll see if that ends up holding true. Staying on that defensive side of the ball, of course, tomorrow we'll be doing the offensive players, so be on the lookout for that. But Noah Sewell, this is a guy who I was extremely excited about. I think C-Dub and Bobby were as well. I don't want to put words in their mouth. This is a guy who, in round 5 of the 2023 draft, a lot of people thought he could have been one of the best players on the board, right? And it is what it is there. You look at Jack Sanborn playing ahead of him for sure. They end up getting TJ Edwards and bringing him in, and Tremaine Edmonds. They were already on the roster at that point when we drafted him, things like that. He only played 27 defensive snaps last year as a rookie. And so him really trying to earn a spot and maybe even show that he needs to be higher up in that rotation could come down to how he performs in the preseason. And so, when you look at it with a new defensive coordinator, he's going to have a time to really get new eyes on him to show what he can bring. A lot of Bears fans have also asked, well, could we see Noah Sewell maybe line up as a defensive end to take advantage of maybe getting some more snaps? I haven't heard anything like that really, and you would think with as much as Eric Washington has already really kind of been flexible in using players on that defensive line on the inside and outside that typically only play one role. We'll see. I don't think that Noah Sewell is at any risk of being cut or anything like that. I just think that ultimately right now he is the fourth or fifth linebacker when it comes down to it. We didn't sign Amen Ojabimia. I know I probably murdered his last name, but Noah Sewell has an opportunity. He's going to play a lot of special teams, but preseason is a time where he can play a lot of defensive snaps. And so to see how he's grown from his rookie year, the anticipation, the reading the offense, those type of things, filling out where how to be in coverage and how to be where to be in the run game, to see Noah Sewell's growth and development, I think is something that we could see over these 3 preseason games as well. And I think that Noah Sewell still has a lot of untapped potential, right? And again, if you guys especially follow Chicago Bull Central, I'm a guy who I do not like to write off players while they're still extremely young. That's just something I don't like to do. I don't like to label players bust or anything too early into their careers, especially while they're young and haven't really been given a whole lot of opportunity. But I ultimately do think that Sewell, this is his time to kind of guarantee his slot, maybe earn a couple of more snaps, and to show that defensive coordinator Eric Washington that he definitely deserves to be out there. That's my personal opinion. Next guy up is Greg Stroman Jr. Now, this is a guy who last year, when he did have to come in and be a starter for the Bears, I think in 1 or 2 games, he actually looked pretty damn good, right? And so when you look at him, he's going to be that backup nickel. He's going to be given an opportunity, especially with Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, and Tyreek Stevenson. We don't know how much they're going to play in that Hall of Fame game. This is a guy that you're going to see a lot, especially in this game, and I think a lot overall in this preseason. But he's a guy that I have some big confidence in what he's able to bring. And, because the snaps may be a little limited for him, I think he's going to have a really good opportunity as well to step up and to show that, hey, find ways to get me out there. And some people have said, hey, line him up at some safety, which could be something that the Bears do as well in that time. But Greg Stroman is a guy who has really tons of potential left. And people kind of forget sometimes as well, like if it wasn't for like Terrell Smith and things like that, like Greg Stroman Jr. would have been much higher up in that depth chart for the Chicago Bears, but now he has an opportunity to really kind of show that what he can simulate as far as what Kyler Gordon does while Kyler Gordon's out. And overall, I like that as well. Him and Terrell Smith are 2 players that I'm really excited to get extended looks at in this preseason to see how they've developed their game, because we may not see a whole lot of them once the regular season starts. And because of that, that's your opportunity to really see what has grown and developed from those guys a lot. And then lastly, the edge position. I'm just going to say the edge position. I know we talked about Austin Booker, but overall, what happens at the edge? Who steps out? Does Jacob Martin continue to show out, right? Does Dominique Robinson, after reportedly he's come in the best shape of his NFL career into this? We know Eric Washington has used him on the inside and outside as well on that defensive line. But those are like just overall, who steps up as that extra edge for the Bears? DeMarcus Walker, Austin Booker, Jacob Martin. These guys have all kind of separated themselves for different reasons. DeMarcus Walker because of his versatility. Jacob Martin because he's just been really good so far. And then you look at Austin Booker. He's the young guy that everybody's kind of looking at to see, is he going to be a diamond in the rough for the Bears, things like that. But everybody else, like how well that depth is at that edge position to really dictate whether the Bears decide that they need to go out and get another edge or not, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. And then also safety positions with Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker. They're not going to play a whole lot, especially not in the Hall of Fame game. Jonathan Owens is out in the Olympics supporting his wife, which I have no issue with. And then you have the safety positions in Elijah Hicks, Quindell Johnson, and Adrian Colbert, who are all going to try to show what they can bring. Micah Baskerville is another one that you could say in this one as well, with him being a young player. But there's a lot of young guys on this defensive side of the ball, even though the Bears have the makings of a top 10 defense, that I really can't wait to get a look at and see what they can bring in that for the regular season for the Chicago Bears. But as always, you guys can let me know what you guys think down below. Now, that was some positive, right? And guys that we want to see some positivity out of and things like that. Well, we got some negative. I guess to say it's a negative. The Bears and their new stadium got a little bit of a wake up call in a lot of ways when it all comes down to it. The Illinois governor J.B. Pritzker, I believe is how you pronounce it, he said this in regards to the Bears' new stadium. I made it clear to the Bears leadership that it would be near impossible to get anything done. If there was a proposal put on the table that could get done, you couldn't actually get it done probably during the veto session and would have to wait until next spring. But in reality, there isn't a proposal on the table right now that would be acceptable to anyone that I know in the legislature. And so that is an adamant, just basically saying, hey, if there was a proposal that could be accepted, it probably wouldn't even be accepted right now until the spring anyway. You don't even have that yet, though. And that is why you hear things like, and Barry was one of the first to say it, some other people said it, Arlington Heights is looking more and more likely for the Chicago Bears. And very well, like they made that whole show of it, that whole press conference for it that was great, had everybody excited and hyped. The renders look amazing. Hell, in the thumbnail, the background of the permanent thumbnail for Chicago Bears Central is the render of that stadium because it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. But with that said, man, hearing this from the governor of Illinois, it to me just signifies the fact that this probably isn't happening. And the Bears, that there was some doubt about the funding right away, as far as the mayor came out and said that in support, but there was some doubt around just how things would work out with the proposal that the Bears had put forward, and this just adds a little bit more salt on top of that. It does not seem like this stadium is going to get done, and at least right now, without heavy alterations made to the initial proposal. So we'll see if that can come, but right now, it does not look promising, and it does not look like the Bears are going to be getting that new stadium on the lakefront that looked it really looked beautiful. It really did. But ultimately, I do think that the Arlington Heights situation is still the best bet for the Bears overall, owning something outright, being able to build up an entertainment district as well, right? Similar to what now we know that the Chicago Bulls and Blackhawks are doing downtown on the west side with their Project 1901. But the Bears are probably going to go back to revisit Arlington Heights. And I would not be surprised if sometimes this season or this time next season, we actually hear that they're back to breaking ground in Arlington. You guys can let me know what you think on that down below. Now, with that said, we did miss a mailbag episode yesterday with me and Bobby being out on Saturday. C-Dub was not able to do the mailbag. He did deliver a great episode to you guys, but wasn't able to do the mailbag. So we got some backup. I want to go ahead and get into that now. So a bonus mailbag episode. This first one is from Barry.
Hey, Bobby C-Dub. Hey, it's Barry here. Fellas, quick thing today. I just want to talk about, you see, the Weasel got extended last night. Highest paid quarterback, and you see all these Bear fans talking shit. Yeah, it's funny, fellas. I hope in Barry's perfect world, the Weasel is a bust. He had 8 lucky games. He had a bunch of throws that petty stats that he shouldn't have got away with, that the fucking DB would have turned his head around and caught his fucking floaters that he's throwing. And 2 or 3 times a game, the Weasel throws a pass where he's the most inaccurate quarterback in the NFL. It's a pick. Okay, fellas, but let's just say he's going to be good. Fellas, I don't care if we're talking about the Packers head-to-head matchup or their players. Bear fans talking shit about the Packers has been, I don't know if you're superstitious, but it's been a fucking curse, fellas. But my fellow Bears fans, when it comes to talking shit about the Packers, until we win, all right, be humble and shut the fuck up. Okay, fellas, because to date, it has not worked well for us. We are 2-18 in our last 20, fellas. We got to change up the strategy. What do they call it when you do the same thing over and over and you expect a different result? It's fucking insanity or whatever the fuck it is, fellas. It's not good, okay? So we got to get a couple W's under our belt. And yes, I'm cautiously optimistic that it could be the year, fellas. But the thing is, you can't just start blowing your mouth off again, fellas. We got no foot to stand on. Yes, he's a weasel. Yes, he might suck. Yes, I think there's a 40% chance he could suck it up this year and throw 20 picks. But, fellas, we need to keep our fucking heads down. The future looks bright. Let's not get over our fucking skis, fellas, all right? So that's my 2 cents, all right? And we're putting curses on ourselves, so chill the fuck out. All right, Chicago up, big day.
Listen, the Jordan Love extension, it is what it is there. Now, as far as talking crap against listen, it's ingrained. I don't care about a curse or none of that. I hate the fucking Packers. I'm going to say I hate the Packers, and I hope that all they mamas trip and fall. Just is what it is. I hope somebody tips over Jordan Love's baby when he has one. I hope all that happens, right? I'm sorry, I'm not going to say anything like we're better than them. No, because we need to prove that on the football field. But as far as Packers hate, now the Packers hate is going to be loud, clear, evident, and if it curses us, so be it. I'll die at some point, then maybe the curse will be lifted. But it's too ingrained in the blood, in my DNA, that the makeup that makes me hate. The fact that when they did an ultrasound on me as a baby when I was in my mother's stomach, it was the Chicago Bears fight song was the beat of my heartbeat. I hate the Packers. I will never love the Packers. I hate everything about the Packers. I hate the cheesehead. I hate the state of Wisconsin overall because of the Green Bay Packers. That's never going to stop. I'm never going to stop saying it. And listen, like I said, if those words curse us, I'll be dead. Hopefully another 40 years of me hosting this show, but nonetheless, you never know. So, hey, listen, here's what I'll say, and it comes down to this. Fuck the Packers. That's all I got to say on it, but the Bears do need to go out and prove it. Let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Jazz.
Hey, guys, this is Jazz. Look, we gotta have some Velus Jones real talk. Okay, he is 100% making this team. Fans need to get over the two muffed punts because the coaches do not care, I guarantee you. Okay, we have a poor man's Cordero Patterson on a rookie contract for 2 more years, and everybody's trying to, run him out of here for no reason. His rookie year, he had 9 rushing attempts for 11.4 yards per carry. Do you think Shane Waldron isn't, chomping at the bit to, run end-arounds with Velus Jones? Coach Hightower loves him. Very, very clearly loves him. And beyond that, I want to talk about what receivers at camp are making the roster over Velus Jones. Anyway, right after DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Romo Dunze, Tyler Scott, they're going to carry at least 6 receivers. So you need to find two of them that are making, so out of DeAndre Carter and Dante Pettis are basically competing for the same roster spot. And with the way they're talking about punt returns, I would not be surprised if neither of them made the team. But beyond that, Nasimba Webster, Freddie Swain, Peter LeBlanc, Colin Johnson, and John Jackson, who of them are bringing more value or upside to this team than Velus Jones, who has over 27 yard per return average on kick returns in his career so far. He brings so much value. All of the coaches love him. Fans need to, get over it, actually, because he's going to be here and he's going to be doing some big stuff. I guarantee it. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Great show. I'll catch you later.
Listen, I get what you're saying, but to say that some people want him gone for no reason, I'm sorry that's just not correct. Now, you can say that there are reasons why he needs to stick around here, and that's your point. That's your right to feel that way, but it's not for no reason. Velus Jones has been an ultimate disappointment in everything that he's done. You pointed out how he did rushing and saying that with Shane Waldron isn't licking his chops to use Velus Jones. No, because he has DeAndre Swift, he has Khalil Herbert, he has Roshan Johnson, he has Tyler Scott, and even Romo Dunze, and we even seen DJ Moore used in the run game. All those guys are going to be before Velus Jones there. As far as in the wide receiver room, you ask who's going to bring more in the wide receiver room than Velus Jones? As of right now, everybody, because you can bet on them to hold on to the ball. Tyler Scott, yes, you mentioned him, he's above him. I'd say that DeAndre Carter, Dante Pettis, and Colin Johnson, we've all heard much more about them in the passing game than what we've heard Velus Jones, because again, I think that the Bears, for the most part, have given up. To say that he's Cordell Patterson light, that's like saying that club soda is Sprite light. It has no flavor to it right now. Now, Velus Jones could very well prove that otherwise and wrong, and hopefully he does, because I'm going to root for anybody who wears that Bears uniform to prove their doubters wrong. But I'm sorry. Velus Jones has not shown much of anything to the Chicago Bears, and I'm glad that he has a fan in you, and I'm sure there are some people that very well believe that. But to hear that the kick returner, the punt returner jobs are all still open, to me that does not say that anybody loves Velus Jones as much as you let on. That may mean that they're hopeful of Velus because he does have talent, but to say that they're in love with Velus Jones, there's been nothing to say that, nothing that I've read to say that. There's been some real good promise. They love the promise. That's the thing, right? Falling in love with potential. That's like falling in love with a chick because she's a 10, but she doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, she doesn't support, she doesn't want to work, she can't talk, and she's dumb as fuck. That's what that is like right now. And people very well could fall in love with the potential of Velus Jones. But as already coming into the league as an older rookie, he's going to be 28 at some point this season. No, next year. He just turned 27 not too long ago. The runway for Velus Jones to make an impact gets shorter and shorter every year that goes by. And let's see what he can bring. Hopefully, he qualms all this. And now we're looking at it 6 months from now and saying, hey, Velus showed out. But if he didn't, it's not going to be because people just want him gone just to want him gone. It's going to be because he's shown a bunch of nothing. And you can give running stats all day long. That gadget shit, that don't matter if the thing that you don't have one great. You can find a gadget guy in every single draft. Ian Willard can be a gadget guy for you. You don't necessarily need to hold on to Velus to be that. All right, let's move into the last voicemail. This one's from our boy Marifa.
Bobby, C-Dub, Haize, them cognac boys. What's happening, fellas? It's your man, Marifa Star, black yet again, man. Listen, I was watching ESPN the other day, and they came up with, they were talking about the Green Bay Packers versus the Bears rivalry, man, and how many differences it is between the two franchises, okay? They said Green Bay went to the playoffs 23 times since 1993, and they've been to the NFC title game 9 times and the Super Bowl 3 times, and they won 2 goddamn Super Bowls. And they said, compared to the Bears, since 1993, the Bears only been to the playoffs 7 times, and they only been to the NFC title game 2 times, and went to the Super Bowl 1 time, and they lost. Now listen, man, when Lovie Smith was the coach, he came in with 3 goals. He said, we're going to beat Green Bay, we're going to win the NFC North, and we're going to win the Super Bowl. Now, he almost did it. But Evil Flus needs to bring the same plan and intensity to this team, and we need to turn the tables on these Green Bay Packers, and I'm sick of them, okay? We in training camp, and we looking cute and shit, but look, when they put the pads on, we got the same goddamn problem we had last year with Justin. Running up the middle, we ain't got no goddamn center. His ass can't block for 3 goddamn seconds. It's just terrible. Gervon Dexter's is eating his ass for lunch. And you got Caleb Williams running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Okay? So we need to get that goddamn thing fixed, man. Hose spent the goddamn 4th round pick on a punter when he should have picked the goddamn center. Okay? But look here, man. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. If the Bears don't turn that around and they don't beat them goddamn Green Bay Packers and turn this damn thing around, we're going to see about what's going to happen in Chicago, okay? Now, it's a new regiment, it's a new team, and we want to see new results. I'm sick and tired of the same results, okay? I'm about sick and tired of hearing about Green Bay, and I don't want to hear no more about them on ESPN. We're going to talk about Chicago, all right? But look here, man. I got to get up out of here. Got a place to go. I got people to see. But you know what I'm saying before I leave? FGB in Chicago up and bear down, baby. Let's go.
Packers versus Bears. Here's the thing. I get it, and I understand why I just got done going on a rant on why I hate the Packers, right? I understand why a lot of Bears fans prioritize beating the Packers, though. I want this Bears team to win. You can make the playoffs without beating the Packers. You can make the wild card without beating the Packers. Hell, you can win the division without beating the Packers, right? This all things here. I care about this team being the best team that it can be first. At that point, that's when we start worrying about year in and year out beating the fucking Packers, right? So make no mistake about it. I ain't got no well wishes or anything for the Green Bay Packers at all. But when it comes down to it, I don't care if Matt Eberflus gets rah-rahed up about beating the Packers and says, oh, we need to beat the Packers this year. I don't give a shit because you could win 2 games against the Packers and win 3 games the rest of the season. And then what we looking at? Are we really going to be sitting at the end of the season saying, thank God we beat the Packers twice? Somewhere, well, I don't give a shit about that, right? Yes, beat the Packers, but win overall. The place that we're in right now, it comes down to wins overall. Now, you want some of those to be against the Packers, but overall, I want to see this team win. We talked about it. We're moving out of rebuilding to building and trying to compete for something. Let's compete for those wins. And in that case, let's beat the Packers while we do it. That's my time for today, guys, man. I love you guys so much, man. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.